Yeah. Good morning. We're just going to do a daily quote today. It's Marcus Aurelius. It says, think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. What doesn't transmit light creates its own darkness. Let's get into today's show. Hope everybody's having a good morning. Bam! Good morning. Welcome everybody to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. I am the host and I go by Blind Run on the interwebs and Matthew in real life. Blind Run is an old gamer tag that I used to play Counter-Strike with way before Counter-Strike Go was a thing, even before Counter-Strike Source was a thing. You may not even understand what it was. However, Dust was still a map and modding was plentiful. Today we're going to be talking about new auto locations in NiceHash mining software, changes you need to make in your custom batch files, and of course your Hive OS configs. Then we're going to be talking about Metamask and a warning about Icloud phishing scams. This is going to be important as well for all of y'all that utilize Metamask, so pay attention there. We also have more information on NVIDIA and the RTX 4090 graphics cards, as well as full-on memory bandwidth details and what the improvements are going to be for the RX 6650 XT, one of the more exciting GPUs to be coming out here. Make sure you also go ahead and vote in today's poll because I'm curious as to which GPUs you're most looking forward to for mining. Then we're going to be talking about the Ethereum Foundation and how it holds 1.3 billion in Ethereum and 300 million in non-crypto investments, along with, of course, how much they're paying themselves out as far as the developers and such. And then we're going to be talking about Monero's hard fork that is coming up in July. So lots of good stuff happening today. Make sure you pay attention. If you enjoy this show, make sure you hit the like button because that is how we continue to grow on this channel. And make sure you share it out with your friends and family and anybody that is interested in cryptocurrency. After that, of course, we are going to be covering the mining profitability as always, and save your questions and answers for the end of the show. Super chats are never required, always appreciated, and first questions to be answered at the end of the show. Figured I'd state that now so it's out of the way. Instead of doing our traditional ad runs, I have a couple things that were sent over here that are new that come from sponsors or partners. We're going to go ahead and show those to you guys and we'll get going. So first of all, GamerSupps is a company that supports the channel. There is no direct sponsorship, so no paid advertisement or anything like that. However, I do get an affiliate program with them. You can use promo code SOAT on the GamerSupps website. You can check out the description below for that. And they sent over a new flavor called peach tea. And if you've ever had Arizona tea, it tastes like Arizona peach tea. And I like it a lot. This is one of my more favorite flavors because it's not so sweet. It's a little bit more laid back, a little bit more chill. So I've been digging it quite a bit. And I drink the caffeine-free version, which we have over here, watermelon ice at night when I don't want to have any caffeine in. and I'm playing video games over on twitch.tv/blindrun, which you can go follow me over there. And if you have an Amazon Prime account and want to support the channel, it's free for you to head on over to https:// I did that backwards. Anyways, :// twitch.tv/blindrun. And over there, you can basically give me what's known as a Twitch Prime sub. Doesn't cost you anything, supports me in a different way, and definitely come by and check out the stream, usually at 9 p.m. Central Time when I decide to go ahead and play. We're playing Elden Ring right now. The other thing that got sent over is from actually a different company. It got sent over by BC Vault, which is a hardware wallet company. However, it was in partnership with Crypto.com, who is a sponsor on the channel. You can sign up for Crypto.com down in the description below. Here's the hardware wallet right here. We are going to be doing a review on it. Just a couple notes about hardware wallet reviews. They can be a little bit difficult because you never know what kind of security issues they may have until they're discovered. But a couple tips on hardware wallets: make sure that this seal is not broken when you actually get it in. And then on the BC Vaults in particular, they have another seal here. You see it right there? And it's hard to focus it in, but right here, there's another seal. And you want to make sure that that seal is ready to go. This one's from Crypto.com. I'm excited for that one because also it's really good to have, while it is a centralized exchange, an exchange that does value and allow me to promote self-custody of your cryptocurrency exchange. And as of yesterday, we were talking about some bullish behavior, of course, with exchanges getting liquidated, people pulling their Bitcoin out of exchanges, the lowest amount of Bitcoin in exchanges since August of 2018. It's a pretty good sign that we're settling in for a long haul. And as you guys have probably seen, of course, cryptocurrency is in the green today. So I'd say that it does look like we may be seeing some bullish behavior surrounding cryptocurrency, especially considering the fact that a lot of the cryptocurrency is being pulled out of exchanges. Let's talk about NiceHash. New auto locations in NiceHash mining software. And you need to update now. So it says we have now fully introduced a new auto location feature in all our mining software. Auto location will replace all 4 of the current mining location URLs. Please make sure you update the settings if you're configuring your rigs manually. So your global location will be available in the following form: Stratum plus TCP, and then it just gives you the addresses here that you need to change it to. For other algorithms, you are required to simply change the algorithm name. Ports will remain the same on all algorithms. Example of Dagger hash and Modo, which is ETH hash, and that is going to be basically changing the name here, and that is pretty much it. Or you can use a Stratum generator to generate an algorithm URL for your mining device. Links down in the description. If you are utilizing NiceHash, make sure you go get this done. So other users will only need to update to the latest version of their mining software, which can be found below. The new location URLs will automatically connect to the market with the lowest latency and will provide a much better user experience and better performance for everyone. And they're delighted to offer the new functionality. The old mining locations are US West, EU West, EU North, USA West, and USA East. Old location links will remain valid for some time, but will be deprecated. So please update as soon as possible. And if you have any questions, it says you can check out their Discord. And then they have links to their GitHub for Quick Miner, NiceHash Miner, and NiceHash OS. Make sure you always download directly from the official GitHub so you don't risk any sort of malicious behavior. Now, I don't personally use NiceHash. I don't usually recommend utilizing NiceHash. But on this channel, we cover all aspects that we can. I want to make sure you guys are up to date so that you essentially are able to bob and weave through the ever-changing landscape of crypto mining and be aware of the options that are out there. This one also came via tweet from Detroit Irish. So shout out to Detroit Irish on Twitter for sending this over. Now, the next one is a little bit concerning. We have Metamask issues, and a majority of US, cell phone users are on iOS. Well, there is basically potential if you're utilizing iOS or utilizing an iPhone at this point that you could get phished through your iCloud account. And so let's go ahead and get into it. This one is coming from Blockworks, and here it is. So, crypto wallet Metamask issued a warning advising users to disable their iCloud backups following an exploit of Apple's service in an estimated $650,000 phishing scam. The DeFi wallet provider said Sunday users who have an iCloud enabled for iPhone application data were susceptible to hackers because the backups include their password encrypted Metamask vault. Quote, if your password isn't strong enough and someone phishes your iCloud credentials, this can mean stolen funds, end quote, Metamask tweeted. The company did not immediately return a request for comment. In one such phishing attack, hackers drained an estimated $650,000 from NFT investor Dominic Lacavone's OpenSea account, including several Mutant Ape Yacht Club collectibles on April 14th. And you can see the tweet here. Hey, y'all, let's see how amazing this community is, or can be. My entire wallet was just stolen, totally wiped. And he lists what he has. Quote, got a phone call from Apple, literally from Apple on my caller ID. Called it back because I suspected fraud and it was an Apple number, end quote, he tweeted. So I believed them. They asked for a code that was sent to my phone, and 2 seconds later, my entire MetaMask wallet was wiped. Look, do not give. It tells you in the text message most of the time, do not give this code out to anyone. Look, do not give your multi-factor authentication codes out to anyone. Preferably utilize some sort of hardware multi-factor authentication, something you have, such as a YubiKey, to also help block some of these things. This is user error, and it is insane that somebody has $650,000 worth of NFTs and not the OPSEC awareness. Whoa. To prevent this, do not click links in emails as they pertain to crypto. Do not provide multi-factor authentication codes to anyone. Utilize hardware multi-factor authentication. Do not use your Face ID. Make sure you have screen protectors that block the privacy screen protectors. Those are another good option here as well, because people could look over. You got to be careful out there. If you are utilizing a hardware ID or a hardware multi-factor authentication that utilizes Bluetooth, make sure you have RFID protection or a pouch to keep that in so people cannot just quickly scan your hardware. That's another tip. These are all basics that you need to be aware of and bob and weave. It is what it is. MetaMask's response has drawn criticism from the community members who argue the backup feature used in iCloud should either be disabled or made tougher for hackers seeking a way into users' digital wallets. 100% MetaMask will need to fix that shite, is what Brian Brake said. But to be honest, this is user error. So it is interesting, though, that if you have enabled iCloud backup for app data, this will include your password encrypted MetaMask vault. So I would turn off iCloud, or not, like me personally, not have MetaMask on the phone, or at least your main MetaMask account on your phone. That opens it up to a whole bunch of additional security issues. And it is a problem, but how can you fix it if you want to remove it off of your phone? MetaMask does give that support. I think that they're doing everything they can here. They say you can disable iCloud backups for MetaMask specifically by turning off the toggle here. Settings, profile, iCloud, manage storage, and backups. If you want to avoid, let's get this out. If you want to avoid iCloud surprising you with unrequested backups in the future, you can turn off that feature. It tells you where to turn it off. So this is all basic information. A 5-year-old could follow these steps. You can go through and make sure you follow those steps. MetaMask parent Consensus in February said it was looking to leverage NFTs as a means to onboard more users to its digital wallet while building out a white label NFT platform. While efforts are being made on that front, critics argue cases like Lacavone's demonstrate Consensus need to improve security if it aims to bring on the next wave of wallet users. The problem here is you can't, this is not MetaMask's fault. This is not Consensus's fault. You cannot fix user error and stupidity. You cannot stop a user from giving security information to someone over the phone. There is absolutely no way for them to do that. Now, is your seed phrase more secure in theory, right, than your iPhone password? More than likely, yes, because the seed phrase is going to be longer. It's going to be harder to crack. So, obviously, I think by default, MetaMask should try to figure out a way to stop or not allow the backup to take that seed phrase and put it away. In the iCloud backups, that's something that could be done. Sure, that's something MetaMask and Consensus should do. But once again, you cannot prevent end user stupidity, and it is your job as the end user to protect yourself. Once again, we are proponents of self-custody based on the fundamentals of Bitcoin, and that results in a great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility, and these people need to watch more Spider-Man or read more Spider-Man. That's what needs to happen here. Okay, let's talk about NVIDIA allegedly begins testing its fastest next-gen GPU, the 8102 for GeForce RTX 4090 graphics cards. And it features 24 gigabits per second GDDR6X memory, which we're all pretty excited about. NVIDIA's next-gen 8102 GPU is currently being tested for the RTX 4090 graphics card, as reported by Copite7Kimmy, who's that famous leaker that we talk about a lot here. There has been speculation that NVIDIA might go for the GeForce RTX 50 series naming scheme instead of the expected 40 series branding, but it looks like Copite has stated NVIDIA's decision to stick to the 40 series naming scheme. Other than that, one big milestone is that NVIDIA may already have started testing and evaluating its flagship Ada Lovelace GPU, the 8102, which power a series of graphics cards such as the RTX 4090 and 4080. Now, we don't know if NVIDIA has moved Ada Lovelace GPUs to mass production yet, but that might be happening during the mid of 2022 as hinted previously. So the chips being tested here could be early examples or samples. But if these chips are indeed out in the wild, then we might possibly see some leaks in the coming months. Of course, the performance figures won't look that great at first since these GPUs are yet to be finalized for drivers, but it might give us an idea of the sort of clock speeds we can expect in the final variants. Another interesting thing that he states are that NVIDIA is going to use 24 gigabits per second memory dies on its 8102. The leaker only mentions it for the RTX 4090, and we know that the 3090 is the only series that got the fastest GDDR6X memory solution so far. Whether NVIDIA chooses 24 or lower pin speeds for the rest of the lineup is something that remains to be seen. One thing is for sure, we will be getting over 1 terabyte per second memory speeds on consumer gaming graphics cards, which are going to give us a 15% boost in bandwidth numbers, and that's without accounting for brand new compression technologies that will be on board the Ada Lovelace architecture. This does mean card to card, if we're just looking at pure mining performance, we're looking at pretty easily a 15% increase from RTX 30 series to RTX 40 series or Ada Lovelace, maybe 50 series if that's what they decide to call it. But a 15% bump at the top end would be absolutely incredible. Obviously, we'll be getting easily over 150 mega hash a second. And as that filters down to the rest of the series, it could be extremely beneficial. You know, we're talking about 80 mega hash a second on the 70 SKU and 60 mega hash a second or thereabouts on the 60 SKU, maybe even higher than that, depending on, of course, you know, the issues with, are they going to put LHR locks on there? What are they going to do as far as all of that is concerned? We are not clear on. So it gets even more interesting though, because we're worried about power, but let's talk about that. The NVIDIA GeForce RTX 40 series graphics card equipped with the 8102 GPUs are expected to offer TDPs of up to 600 watts. That is at least what the current BIOS shipping board partners is rated at, so the rumors about 450 to 600 watt TDPs might be true, but we haven't seen the final figures. The power ratings are usually on the high side during the testing phase, so these could be optimized when the cards actually launch. The cards will be outfitted with the PCIe Gen 5 connectors and will ship with a 4x8 pin to 1x16 pin adapter to support the huge power draw. The upcoming GeForce RTX 3090 Ti itself will be shipping with a 3 8 pin to 116 pin adapter, which we've already seen. Here we go though. The leaked PCB design talked about the memory, which will feature 12 solder points on the PCB and are all compatible with Micron's GDDR6X memory. Higher end cards might go with single-sided and dual capacity memory, since that offers the best power temperature balance and feature up to 24 gigabyte capacities, but at higher speeds, up to 24 gigabits per second. As for the mainstream segment, we are likely to see 20 gigabits per second plus designs, but in 8 gigabyte and up to 16 gigabyte flavors, which can help reduce power since the power regulation will be dropped to 3 VRMs. This is important for the memory. So even if the cards come out really, really power hungry, if we're talking about memory intensive algorithms for mining, this does mean we could see lower power consumption on these memory specific algorithms, Ergo, Ethereum, so on. And in that case, these cards could end up being extremely good for mining because we're dropping down to 3 VRMs for the memory and increasing the memory speeds. On the base models going up to or more than 20 gigabits per second, so more along the lines of the 3090 and 3090 Ti right now, and the top end models being up to 24 gigabits per second, and then dropping the power consumption of the memory itself. Now, the idea here, of course, is that we may have to start playing with things like the 3090 Ti example that we talked about yesterday, with reprogramming that VR curve to bring that power consumption down to a lower level. But I'm actually kind of getting a little bit more excited for the 40 series and mining in general, now getting more of an idea on the actual architecture surrounding the memory and how it's going to function. As for cooling these monster PCBs, NVIDIA is reportedly going to reuse their triple slot BF GPU design, while board partners are going to utilize 3.5 and even quad slot cooling solutions weighing over 2 kilograms. Most AIBs might just end up utilizing AIO and hybrid cooling designs, something that you will be seeing in the RTX 3090 Ti. The cards are expected to feature up to 28-phase VRM design on the flagship RTX 4090 graphics card, so all that extra cooling will be put to good use. Now, for miners, once again, larger GPUs means we are going to need to see some redesign of riserless motherboards specifically for these larger GPUs that have started, with the 30 series and moved into the 40 series. You will probably, as a miner yourself, probably be leaning more towards utilizing risers and finding cases that and frames that accommodate for the extra width of all these GPUs. It's absolutely insane that we're going to be seeing quad slot cooling solutions, but that's the nature of the beast when you are kind of at the end of your architecture roadmap. And I think that's really where NVIDIA is now. We've talked about this before. When you see a company start to run towards the end of that roadmap, they start adding more and more power, and they start pushing the architecture as far as it can go. On the flip side of that, what we see from Radeon, of course, is an increase in just performance per watt and a completely new architecture. They're at the beginning of their roadmap. AMD is for Radeon right now. And NVIDIA is kind of at the end of their roadmap, at least as it seems. So we could see some really good stuff, of course, from the 7000 series from AMD as well. Either way, I'm kind of looking forward to all of the GPUs, especially now seeing, of course, the numbers for the changes to the memory on NVIDIA. Let's talk about the RX 6650 XT. As in the title, we're going to get you guys, of course, the predictions for hash rate on Ethereum, and this one should be easily calculated because we do have memory bandwidth details, at least on the 6650 XT. PowerColor's Radeon RX 6650 XT Hellhound graphics card features higher GPU and memory clocks, but also requires more power. So PowerColor's Hellhound graphics card is a custom model that is expected to rock higher clocks and power input than its predecessor. The new information comes straight from Video Cards, who has managed to obtain the specs of the custom flavored card. AMD's upcoming RDNA 2 graphics card refresh is expected to feature various custom models from AIBs. While a few of these models have already leaked, we haven't really heard about the clocks or power numbers that these variants will offer. But it looks like Video Cards has details of the Radeon RX 6650 XT Hellhound from PowerColor, a custom graphics card that will aim the mainstream GPU segment or aim at it. The PowerColor RX 6650 XT Hellhound is said to feature the Navi 23 XT GPU with a total of 2048 cores packed with 32 compute units. Now, while the GPU configuration is the same across the two cards, the 6650 XT versus the 6600 XT, the internal clocks and power limits have been changed a bit. The card will come with a dual BIOS profile, one being silent mode and the other being overclock mode. With the silent profile, the PowerColor 6650 XT will operate at the reference clocks of 2410 MHz game and 2635 MHz boost. The overclock mode features higher clock speeds of 2486 MHz for the game and 2689 MHz for the boost. That's a 4.4% increase in game and 3.7% increase in boost clocks compared to its predecessor. As for memory, the 8 GB and 128-bit interface aren't going away, but the clock speeds are going to be boosted to 17.5 gigabits per second to deliver an effective bandwidth of 280 gigabytes per second versus the 256 gigabytes per second of the existing model. This is a 9% increase in both the core and memory clocks combined, will end up providing a decent 5 to 10% performance improvement within games. Also, what's interesting is that the 6650 XT won't be using the full 18 gigabit per second dies like the other two RDNA 2 refresh graphics cards. We might see higher clocks and memory pin speeds for the flagship Devil variant, but that cannot be confirmed at the moment. So, important thing to note is even within the 6650 XT, we have confirmation of 17.5 gigabits per second, but there may be higher end models of the 6650 XT that gets all the way up to 18 gigabits per second. Either way, a conservative estimation is that we will see a 9% increase specifically in the memory speeds, which means that we'll see a 9%, and that's effective bandwidth. And we've utilized this every time. We've been dead on with the predictions. If you take the percent change in total effective bandwidth of the memory, then you can figure out what the Ethereum hash rate will be. So if we take 109% of 32 mega hash a second and calculate that out, we are at 34.88 mega hash a second. So what we're looking at is basically a lower end card that will do pretty much like 35 mega hash a second, which is pretty exciting. However, we do have to talk about the power consumption as well. So the boosted clocks also require more power, and it looks like Power Color recommends users a 600 watt PDSU instead of a 500 watt. Remember, this includes everything. It can be expected that the total board power has gone up a bit from the 160 watts that the current card features, and that custom variant will rock dual fan with dual slot cooler and custom PCB design, and will come with a backplate. The card will rock a single 8-pin connector, so the TBP, total board power, has to remain within a 225 watt limit. How much will it be increased? They aren't saying. We don't really have a full estimation on that. You know, here it just says 160 watts question mark. But if we are really taking a look at it, we're assuming that because they are basically doing an increase of 20% here, we could see basically a 20% increase in power, which could put us somewhere around 200 watts, just under 200 watts, right? So maybe like 192 watts or something like that, or 198 watts, right? 192 watts. That's correct. So we will see a higher power consumption. The question will be is, how much of that power consumption is related to specifically the memory being faster, and how much of that is specifically for the core being faster? And that's really going to determine, of course, how efficient these GPUs are going to be with that 35 mega hash a second prediction that we just went over. Either way, with these new GPUs, all of them increasing the total memory bandwidth and effective speed, etc., we are looking at some really, really fun times within mining and testing, and a lot of new cards that are going to be very, very exciting. You know what's not exciting is that Ethereum Foundation holds $1.3 billion in Ether and $300 million in non-crypto investments. Coming from CoinDesk, the Ethereum Foundation held more than $1.6 billion in treasury assets at the end of March, the nonprofit said Monday. Almost $1.29 billion was held in Ether, the world's second largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization. That represented over 0.297% of the total Ether supply as of March 31st. Some 11 million was held in other cryptocurrencies. The treasury also included about $300 million in non-crypto investments. The foundation did not return requests for details on the makeup of these assets at the time of writing. Quote, we also increase our non-crypto savings in response to rising ETH prices, end quote, the foundation said in the report. Quote, this provides a greater safety margin for our core budget and would enable us to continue funding non-core but high leverage projects through a market downturn. What are y'all's opinions and thoughts on the Ethereum Foundation holding assets, $300 million worth of assets outside of cryptocurrencies? I'd like to hear in the comment section and, of course, live chat. The holdings included 39,168 Ether already committed to client teams building on Ethereum, according to the report. The foundation funds research and development on Ethereum and related technologies. It spent in excess of $48 million on various teams, funding, and bounties last year, the report said. We also have a number for developers. Ethereum developers, agencies, and teams involved in the foundation's activities pocketed a cumulative $5.1 million in 2021, the report noted. Research and development of Layer 1 or base blockchain saw a majority of last year's spending at over $21 million, which included research on mainnet upgrade security, mechanism design, and grants to external clients. Ethereum is trading at just over $3,050 at writing time. It's actually at $3,125 right now. Now, this is important because a lot of people will say, you know, it's okay. A lot of other cryptocurrencies do this sort of thing. You have developers. The developers need to eat. You need to pay the developers. And then I would just point everybody over to Bitcoin and say, well, not the case, right? Do you need a foundation that is supplying $5.1 million to the developers in this case? And if that is the case for a particular cryptocurrency, is that a commodity or an equity? And do we start making these distinctions so that the public is more aware of it, so that they can make that distinction between what Bitcoin is and what Ethereum is, or what Ethereum is and what Cardano is, or what Ethereum is and what Flux is, right? These are all things to take into consideration. By the way, Flux does have a developer fee built in, so it's important to note that as well. To me, if you have a foundation like this, first of all, nonprofit is a little silly, and it's supplying this sort of cash flow to developers and so on, and people that are within the know there, then it definitely goes along the line of, I think it just falls into a tech stock in my humble opinion. Now, obviously, we're mining Ethereum, so we're benefiting from this and all that sort of thing. But it's important to make those distinctions, and we'll continue to make those distinctions on the channel so that people understand what's going on. The more and more I get into crypto, and the more and more I pay attention to, the economics behind it all and so on, the more and more I become a Bitcoin maximalist, I guess. You could throw that at me, and I'd be like, yeah, kind of. And there's those distinctions, which is why. Let's go ahead and take a look at the privacy-focused Monero, and it plans for a hard fork in July. XMR surges 11% on Monero run, or Monero. The hard fork would see version 15 of Monero launched with several upgrades for improved security. This picture is hilarious. Privacy protocol Monero will undergo a tentative hard fork in July, which would see improved network security and fee changes, developers confirmed in a GitHub post. A testnet deployment is expected in May. No separate coin will be issued after the main hard fork at a block height of 2,668,888, which is expected to be in July. Hard forks refer to a change to a blockchain protocol that renders older versions invalid. And in a tweet from John Foss, it says Monero has a network upgrade hard fork on July 16th of 2022. Privacy and performance will be improved. The update includes ring sizes will increase from 11 to 16 view tags to speed up wallet node sync, multi-sig fixes, and bulletproof plus, and more. Monero is a privacy-centric protocol that masks the wallet addresses of users, making it difficult for others to trace and track transactions. This is unlike Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies where wallet addresses and transactional behavior can be analyzed to determine the identity of their users. What happens after version 15? July's hard fork will be Monero's 15th software version. The previous two versions went live in October of 2020 and introduced marginal upgrades. Version 15 would see increase in Monero's ring size from 11 to 16 alongside fixes to its multiple signature multisig mechanism. As per developer documents, multisig refers to a transaction which needs multiple signatures before it can be submitted to the Monero network and executed, while ring size refers to the total number of signers in a ring signature. A ring signature is a type of digital signature in which a group of possible signers is merged together to produce a single distinctive signature that can authorize a transaction. The V15 upgrade would also introduce Bulletproof Plus, which is an upgrade to the bulletproof technology deployed on Monero in 2018, which ensures that the information stored within a confidential transaction doesn't contain any false information. XMR, the native token for Monero, surges some 11% in the past 24 hours as developers confirmed the July hard fork. Prices spiked to as much as $277 on Monday night, breaking over a major resistance level at $240. Prices slumped to the $257 level at the time of writing. However, a Bloomberg report pegged a separate catalyst driving demand for the tokens on seemingly coordinated effort from Monero community members on Reddit. Quote, April 18th, we're withdrawing XMR from exchanges. Any exchange that hasn't disabled withdrawals, which many of them have already, we're pulling our funds, end quote, a popular post titled The Monero from last week stated. The date also marked 8 years since Monero was initially launched. Looking more and more like exchanges are paper trading Monero and lying about how much they have to customers. This is important. Opt out, get those keys off exchanges, and actually own your XMR. And in a privacy-focused cryptocurrency, this is going to be paramount, right? Like we're already talking about this trend of people pulling Bitcoin off. With Monero, I think it's an even bigger deal. Pull it off the exchanges. Also, paper trading is a big problem within these exchanges. They're not a big fan, most of them. Most of the exchanges aren't a big fan of Monero as it is, because it's hard from a regulatory standpoint. Community members allege Monero's obfuscated ledger has allowed crypto exchanges to misrepresent their reserves and sell XMR, quote, that they don't actually have, end quote. The bank run of sorts entices community members to pull their holdings from exchanges. This is in a bid to test if exchanges actually hold XMR or not. Exchanges Binance, Bitfinex, and HitBDC did not return requests for comment on Monero allegations. The three attract some of the highest XMR trading volumes among all other cryptocurrency exchanges, primarily because they're not on some of the bigger ones like Coinbase and Crypto.com, because privacy coins in general are very difficult to regulate. It's probably not going to be something that you ever see on something like Crypto.com or Coinbase. Let's talk about mining profitability for the day. Not looking fantastic, but yesterday we did $204 US. I should be around 220 if I could get rid of this heat. And that was at 0.065 Ethereum. And for today, we are presumed to get 0.067 Ethereum, which would be worth $209 US. Obviously, very, very skinny times at the mining farm right now. I should be closer to 6 gigahash as well. You can easily see that the average hash rate and the current hash rate starts dropping throughout the day. By noon, we'll be at 5 gigahash as the cards start heating up too much. And I really got to get that sorted. But believe me when I do, I will be talking about it. I just am in a pickle right now. There's not much I can do except wake up, do what I can every day. It's just where we're at. Ravencoin, I want to thank Realregos once again for donating hash rate. It looks like he upped it to 20 mega hash a second. Not sure what CPUs are on there, but thank you, good sir. And that is resulting in essentially 2 Ravencoin a day. Yes, I want to get the staking video out. No, I have not had time. It is what it is, right? Let's talk about what to mine's calculations for the RTX 3090 with the adjusted Zell hash rate utilizing mini-Z. We're at $3.90 a day on Ethereum after 10 cents a kilowatt power. Zell hash is at $2.78 a day after 10 cents a kilowatt power on NiceHash. Once again, beating out mining Flux directly, which would be $2.63 a day after power. We have Cero still up here at $2.59 a day after power and Conflux at $2.55 a day after power. And if we scroll down, we have Ethereum Classic at $2.45 a day after power and Ergo at $2.46 a day after power, with Ravencoin just above $2 now, as opposed to yesterday when it dropped below $2 a day after power. It's at $2.05 a day after power. All of the alternatives, unfortunately, have some problems. Now, Cero, I'm not clear on, right? Conflux really only works really well on NVIDIA GPUs, specifically newer ones. Some 20 series are pretty good, but you know, your AMD GPUs aren't going to run great on them. And you have to have more than 6 gigabytes of video memory on the GPU, if I recall, or it will not work. Flux has its issue of basically having the node infrastructure be very enticing to rental on NiceHash, making your mining profitability extremely unpredictable. Ethereum Classic has the problem of capability of Ethereum ETH hash ASICs bumping over to it, therefore taking some profits away from the GPU miners. And Ergo has a really messed up difficulty delay that makes it completely unpredictable, kind of in a similar situation to Flux. These are all the problems that we have with these. I'm going to call them out every time so that everybody in the community is aware of them. And if they get fixed, we'll cover it. But if we don't talk about them, nobody's going to fix it, right? So that's what it is. All right. Let's look at it. Bitcoin, 230 exahash a second. Huge increase over the week. Almost 10 exahash a second increase. The price has recovered, obviously, to 41,000. It really doesn't matter where the price is. Difficulties just... I'm going to blame Bitsby tripping for his new ASIC mining operation. I saw you, Carter. I saw what you were doing over there. But in all reality, I don't think you put 10 exahash a second on there. There's a lot of people throwing power at Bitcoin, throwing hash power at Bitcoin. Prices of the ASIC miners are not coming down. We need more competition within the ASIC mining market. It's coming, but it's coming through platforms that are basically going to be trying to sell directly to large entities. Intel, for example, has cut a deal with Block. It doesn't look like Block is going to be manufacturing for consumer end use. The biggest problem with ASICs is just availability and pricing, and I wish it was more available to the consumers at a better price, but this is the world we live in right now. Hopefully it gets corrected at some point. Let's take a look at Ethereum. We're expecting 1 petahash a second, and it is at 1 petahash a second flat. This is going to continue, I think, this trend all the way until the merge, because people are gun shy of adding more hash rate to Ethereum. That's at least what I'm seeing. Even if we talk about the new miners, we covered it yesterday, I believe, which is, should you start mining cryptocurrency now or wait? Well, the idea that he had as a new cryptocurrency miner for GPU mining specifically was to mine other altcoins like Flux, etc. Most of the new hash rate that's going to be coming in does appear to be going to alternate cryptocurrencies outside of Ethereum. Why is this? Well, they're hedging their bets. And that's understandable to a certain extent. That's kind of what they're moving into. Most of the hash power on Ethereum, a large majority of it is going to be from the large GPU miners. And those miners are not upgrading and increasing their mining power because of the threat of the merge. And I know I've heard like a lot of people saying that the hash rate was going to go up once the merge was delayed a few months. Honestly, it would have to be delayed at least a year before I think we would see increase of hash rate on the network. I could be wrong. But that's what I'm seeing. We haven't seen anything crazy. Ethereum Classic, 29 terahash a second, up from, of course, that 28 terahash a second. So up 1 terahash a second. Does seem to be following that trend. And difficulty staying steady along with, of course, profitability. Once again, the biggest issue here is going to be, once the merge happens, a bunch of ASICs dumping onto the Ethereum Classic network. But it does have the most promise, I think, from a miner standpoint and an infrastructure standpoint, out of the rest of these. So Flux, if we take a look at it, going to be around 2 mega solutions a second still, no increases, but the huge spikes from the nice hash rentals are making it very unpredictable for miners that are trying to mine it directly, unfortunately. Let's take a look at Ergo, and what we expect to see is basically the difficulty starting to rise again. So you can see it's very spastic, very unpredictable in its 7-day history, very unpredictable in its difficulty. And you can see people test it out, drops, goes back up, and it's always delayed. So you end up having this weird case where you have low difficulty, high hash rate, or high hash rate, or high difficulty, low hash rate. That's kind of what's happening with Ergo right now. If you can time it and start to play that game, I think that there's some extra profit that you can get out of it. But if you can't time it and you just want to set it and forget it, right? which mining is never set it and forget it. But if you just want to set it on one algorithm, have your flight sheet and just run that 24/7, it's going to be a little bit more difficult on Ergo. Let's take a look at Ravencoin, a lot of people's favorite because this is the closest to Bitcoin. However, that algorithm is difficult to mine with its core intensity. We're seeing some spikes on some solo pools here, but nothing too ridiculous. And it's at 3.29 terahash a second. Let's take a look at mining pool profitability for the past 90 days. 2 miners is not listed on here anymore for whatever reason, but out of the ones that are listed, last 90 days, Flex Pool in first, Mining Pool Hub in second, Crazy Pool in third. For the last 60 days, we have Mining Pool Hub in first, F2 Pool in second, Flex Pool in third. For the last 30 days, we have Flex Pool in first, F2 Pool in second, Hive on in third. For the last 21 days, we have Crazy Pool in first, F2 Pool in second, Flex Pool in third. For the last 14 days, we have Crazy Pool in first, Flex Pool in second, F2 Pool in third. For the last 7 days, we have Crazy Pool in first, F2 Pool in second, Hive on in third. For the last 3 days, Crazy Pool in first, F2 Pool in second, Hive on in third. For the last day, Hive on takes the lead, surprisingly, with F2 Pool in second and Mining Pool Hub in third. Taking a look at ASIC miner profitability, we still have the Jazz Miner X4 as the only one kind of really breaking $100 a day in profitability. The KD6 is still kind of down. It is up $2 from yesterday at $92.41 a day, and the KD5 at $62.16 a day. If we scroll down to the S19 Pro, we're at $15.71 a day. Let's not forget the L7. It is up $2 a day as well at $42.64 a day. If you're mining Doge directly, it's at $36.10 a day. Now, we have some new information coming from BT miners, a sponsor of the channel. The KD6 SE, which is 25.3 terahash a second at 2300 watts. The KD6 in comparison is 26.3 terahash a second at 2630 watts. So a little bit more efficient, a little bit less of hash rate, but a little more efficient. Kind of interesting. Hoping to see that come out at some point, but the prices of them are still, hard for the barrier to entry. The miners that are on sale have not changed. You have the M30S at 9,160. You have the S19 Pro at 9,500. And then the biggest drop, I think, was the Gold Shell KD box at 2.6 terahash a second on Kadena at $5,800 US. And then from there, pretty much everything else is pretty much the same. The S19J Pro at $8,000 US seems to be one of the more popular ones. I guess here's the ASIC miners by popularity. You have the Avalon miner at $6,000 for 85 terahash. You have the S19 Pro at 110 terahash at 9,500. The S9 SE 16 terahash at $899. I know a lot of people are getting into these now, and we've talked about that before. Let's get into questions and answers for the day. Remember, super chats are never required, always appreciated. The biggest thing you can do, of course, is share the content out and hit the like button and make sure the YouTube algorithm is aware that you are excited about. Let's end the poll for today. Oh, it didn't give me poll results. Let me see if I can get poll results. Oh no, there it is. All right. So we asked at the beginning of the show, which GPU release are you most excited to mine with? And overwhelmingly, 53% of you voted Intel Arc GPU series. A lot of us are excited for that one. 17% said the RX 60X, like 6X 50XT, the refresh of RDNA 2. 17% said the RX 7000 series, and only 12% said Ada Lovelace, most likely due to power. All right, so we're going to go ahead and scroll up. And Full Metal Potato says, I'll swap heat for my power cost. I'm going to probably have to say no on that. Raptor Node says, at Summit let's get this out of the way. When is the merge? A few months away from June. Whatever that means. June Some say June, some say July, some say August. Nobody says June anymore. We know that. For EMH, says, at Son of a Tech, just hang in there, keep doing the best you can. Let's all keep doing the best we can. Wake up every day and do everything we can with what we got. Raptor Node says, at Son of a Tech, why would Bitmain have an incentive to reduce pricing when they don't have any problems selling them to big farms or firms? What the small miners need is a US-based company who will sell to us. You know who we need to start lobbying for this, in all honesty, is Jack Dorsey, who seems to have been red-pilled as of yesterday. But let's get tweeting at Jack Dorsey and saying, hey, we know that you're working with Intel, bro. We know that you're going to be working with someone to manufacture as a third party. How about you start selling direct to consumer and help us out, bro? That's what needs to happen, right? That's what needs to happen. Brandon Gasper says, at Son of a Tech, with the potential sizing, spacing, cooling issues with future cards, do you think alternative cooling solutions will become more common for mining? Yeah, I think so. Like I've already talked to, like in traditional data centers, the big thing for a long time was raised floor cooling. And that's no longer a thing because that was found to be inefficient. And as we move forward and get more details and more information on how these all function, I think that more designs will come, right? So it'll happen. Michael Grayson says, at Son of a Tech, how much hash could a blind run hash of a blind run could hash? Well, if it was Bitcoin, it'd be 1,000 terahash a second at 5 watts. And if it was Ethereum, I don't know, at least 10,000 megahash a second. Probably like 10 watts. Something like that. Make sure you tag at Son of a Tech if you have a question or want to talk to me directly. And clean up the chat, boys. And if we can't clean up the chat and start getting constructive questions going on, we're just going to end the stream. Raptor Node says, ask Tech, Scott Oxford is apparently looking at making an ASIC. He is a Wisconsin-based reseller of ASIC miners. Or that other company in California, Future. They make ASICs and nodes. Yeah, there's got to be a way to basically get out ASICs to the general consumer. Green Illness says, as Son of a Tech, do you know if it's possible to CPU mine on HiveOS GPU rig without lots of problems? Yeah, if you have a CPU that is powerful enough to do it, right? Like all of my CPUs that are mining Luckpool right now are specifically on running GPUs as well. They're all Ryzen CPUs for the most part, but we do have a 7700 in there and a 4770 that are mining pretty easily with no reliability issues. Bill B says, at Son of a Tech, Ethereum Classic 5th inning is happening next week. I do know about that. We'll cover it when it comes. Matt Rulin says, at Son of a Tech, do you like 2Miners Bitcoin and Nano payouts? Yes, I utilize the Bitcoin payout. Aggregarker Visual says, at Son of a Tech, just reposting from yesterday, have you seen the profit swapping thing on Ergo? Guap swap. No, I haven't. I guess I will copy this and try to look at it today. Thanks for the heads up. That's why we're here and we do what we do. You guys help me learn and I try to help you learn, and hopefully we'll get everything covered that we possibly can. Dan Sand says, why people are using NiceHash for Flux and not directly? Well, specifically because what we're looking at is a situation where you have part node and part mining. And because it's 50-50, The people that don't have mining rigs are trying to essentially get enough to run a node. So they are renting Hashrate through NiceHash to stack basically enough Flux to build whatever node that they have in mind as a goal. And this is why NiceHash is being utilized. The people that are using NiceHash, they're not mining to it, right? But utilizing NiceHash are renting Hashrate to earn Flux because it's, frankly, especially for Flux, it's the easiest way to obtain it because Flux doesn't have large exchange availability, right? And it's still a smaller coin. And for those smaller coins and so on, if you go into an exchange and you start trying to buy up all the Flux, you very quickly run into a block where you've driven the price way too high. So instead of doing that, you go and you rent Hashrate and you can get Flux kind of cheaper. Basically, the value of Flux can more accurately right now be determined by what, Flux is being paid for to rent, as opposed to what it's listing for on the exchanges. So what does that mean, right? That means if you look at a Flux block, your estimated rewards on a 3090, right, is going to be 2 Flux at $2.63. But what it really is, what the value is we would take the NiceHash number at 278 and divide that by 2.08. So you would say 2.78 divided by, did that wrong. 278 divided by 2.08. You would say that the actual true value of Flux that traders are willing to buy, because what they're basically doing is trading Bitcoin for Flux on NiceHash, is $1.30. If we compared that to coin market cap, right, for example, and we went ahead and looked at Flux, we would see that the current value of Flux on coin market cap is $1.49. So if you are basically trying to build a node, what is the most price effective way for you to basically purchase Flux? It's by renting Hashrate on NiceHash. It's actually 15 cents per Flux cheaper. And then because, once again, there's less Flux and less availability on your markets, right, like Gate.io or whatever, as soon as you start buying the Flux on these markets, it drives the price of it up significantly, right? Because your total volume here is only 17 million. So I hope that makes sense. And you can see the 24-hour low at 136 and 150. Huge swings in the 24-hour change. So that's why that's happening. It's basically just traders finding the cheapest way to get more Flux. That's what's happening. Gordon says, at Tech, do you think the shadow merge is affecting profitability already? No, I think less use of Ethereum. And of course, layer 2 is what's affecting it. Scott Schultz says, at Tech, have you seen the Bitcoin USB ASICs? Yeah, I have. They've been around for a long time. A long, long time. The only reason I would get one would be to solo mine and play the lottery, though. I mean, that's pretty much all a Bitcoin USB ASIC is playing the lottery. That's pretty much all you're doing with it, right? So it's not that enticing. LZ says, at Tech, would you stop mining if the price would be 21 cents per kilowatt hour? I don't want to sell my rigs. I'd have to do the numbers. 21 cents a kilowatt hour is pretty rough. Veslin says, are you mining Ergo? Not currently. Tobias says, at Tech, I have no stale or invalid shares to 2 miners, but my current hash rate and sometimes lower than reported latency is 30 to 45 milliseconds. Any suggestions? Obviously, 2 miners has the tool, the ping tool already built in for you. 30 to 45 milliseconds shouldn't be an issue. However, like you're saying, your current hash rate is sometimes lower than your reported. Your hash rate and latency are two completely different things. So your question's a little confusing. Raptor Node says, ask Son of a Tech, what is your hash rate on Varuscoin and what does it cost you to mine 2 coins per day? I guess that's a good question. The total hash rate is, let's see if we can get a total hash rate for you here. 110 mega hash a second. So that's basically 110 mega hash a second is equaling 2 Varuscoin a day. And as far as cost, I haven't actually calculated it. None of these CPUs take a significant amount of power, but we have run them all individually and done reviews on them, so you can look at that. Separately, the Threadripper 1950X is the highest hashing one. Kevin Smith says, could you post your streaming recording setup? You're looking at getting into it. We talk about it a lot, and I have posted it before. I guess it has changed a little bit, but you know, we primarily use a lot of Elgato products. So the Stream Deck and we have the Elgato multicam PCI plugin plus the Elgato 4K PCI model. And then we utilize a 12900K with a 3090 in the streaming rig. We have a Go XLR for the audio going in, Shure SM7B mic, Rode boom arm, A6000 camera with a Sigma 16mm lens and the Elgato ring light. And that's pretty much it. But I could try to do another video on it, but we're going to be moving some things around yet again. So I don't know that I want to do it right now. Plus, everything back here looks all clean. This desk, not clean. It's terrible. It's terrible right now. But yes, I could try to. I think if you go to my Twitch too, I have all the parts listed. Grover Clark says, at Summotech, do you know how to make HiveOS Watchdog turn off the PC and restart like Power Action will do? Do you mean like if the PC froze? Because Watchdog's only going to work if the actual rig is being utilized, right? Or is not frozen. Stick Shark, what's going on, my man? Thanks for stopping by the Twitch stream last night. Says, I know you're looking at 1660 Supers. Does 6 GB of memory cause any concerns for you? Not really. I mean, like, it's been years and years for look, there's always going to be alternate coins to mine. The VRAM issue is not an issue on things like Flux. A lot of other altcoins, it's not really that big of an issue. You know, we already had the DAG size get reduced on Ethereum Classic. I don't see it being as big of an issue as it would be if Ethereum was continuing to go down proof of work, if that makes sense. Now, the place where it doesn't work is Conflux, but are we really worried about one Conflux coin or one coin? And if we are worried about Conflux, why? It's a Chinese coin that has a lot of sketchiness going on with it, right? Bill B says, at Son of a Tech, what cards would be good for spec mining? Well, that's completely unpredictable because spec mining implies that you're mining something that has just come out and is a new algorithm, right? Typically, like if you want to be spec mining, you want to spec mine some sort of algorithm change usually because you want to be spec mining something that does something different than all the rest of the proof of work coins. So because of the nature of spec mining, you aren't going to know that until that specific algorithm is available to you to test with. So it's kind of an impossible question. Andre Morris says, hi, at Son of a Tech, which is the max hash rate you saw in the 2060 super mining ETH with good overclock? I have not had a 2060 super ever, so I do not have the answer to that for you personally. You can obviously use other outlets. Red Panda Mining, I think, has had some. You know, there are other crypto YouTubers that probably have that out and listed. The Real James says, at Son of a Tech, Ethereum Classic price prediction after Ethereum merge. I don't know. You know, I know like a lot of people have done that and they say like it's easily going to hit $1,000. I don't know that that's going to be true necessarily. I do think that there will be an increase in price, but I haven't run personal numbers to actually determine that necessarily. Barton says, at Simontek, what do you think of Kryptonite GPU coins? I think that algorithm is getting pretty old, but I do know, like, obviously Ryo was the first Kryptonite GPU coin. I think they switched a little later on. I have to go double check again, but most of them are not in active development. That's the problem with them. Eric says, at Simontek, when can we mine Silkcoin? When I have put together everything that needs to be put together. You know, that's the way it is. Jorge says, at Simontek, this motherboard BTC T37 Intel is giving me hell. With sometimes it doesn't recognize GPUs, sometimes don't. Sometimes it's very stable. Don't know if it's related to overclocks or what. Check and make sure CSM is disabled. Matt Rulin says, at Simontek, for a small miner, less than 1 gigahash, does it make sense to stick with a 3070 and under, or does density of the 3080 to 3090 help? So I don't think it's necessarily a density issue. I think it's a heat and reliability issue, meaning that 3080 maybe, right? But I wouldn't touch a 3090 or 3090 Ti unless you're intending to actively cool with water at that point, in which case you're going to be spending a lot more money. So that's the reasoning behind staying away from the 3090s at this point. Legit says, at Simontek, are you still buying? I am broke, but I'm trying to still buy. That's pretty much where we're at. It's tax season, boys. It's tax season. It's rough. We're not on that same path right now. And obviously we're already working on an upgrade for power, and that's costing right now. The cost is going into ventilation and power, right? Once that's done, I can buy more GPUs. Hopefully that lines up, of course, with the dip in GPU prices, and we max out 800 amps and we're cranking and ready to go for 2025 halving. That's the goal. That is the personal goal. You can follow along and see if I fail or not, right? Infamous Goblin Loser says, at Simontek, good morning and have a great day today. You too, sir. Check time. All right, we're good. Jeff says, at Simontek, do you still recommend BioStar motherboards such as the TB360 BTC? I don't think I've actually ever recommended it necessarily, but the number one board that I have is the ASRock H110 Pro BDC. That's usually what I buy over and over. 4EMH says, at Simontek, 45 cents-ish per kilowatt hour here. Oof, that's rough, my man. Tobias says, at Simontek, my question is, why is my current hash rate lower than reported if I don't have stale or invalid shares? Hash rate reported on the pool is going to be determined on what work the GPUs are submitting to the pool. It will always be different. Regardless of stale or invalid shares. Colton says, at Simontek, the performance of AMD cards on other algorithms like Flux, etc., and their little high price keeps me away from them. Wish they were better. Yeah, the only one I'd be looking at really is going to be that RX 6650 XT. I'm pretty hot on that because it's going to be the newest one to come out. Minor Illusion says, at Simontek, have you tried any of the graphite pads you mentioned yesterday? Seems like they are several times more expensive than the standard pads, but the heat transfer is double the best I've seen. So, with the graphite pads, we've talked about this before, where they are cost prohibitive technically. Here's the perfect setup that I like for them in general. The thing about them is they aren't going to break down, at least not at near the rate as thermal paste. So thermal paste, you're talking about, especially in a hot area, 6 months for replacement, 6 months to a year. Year's really pushing it, especially in a hotter setup. Graphite pads, years and years and years, and you're golden. So yes, they're more expensive initially than thermal paste, but they're going to last you a lot longer. When should you put them on? Well, when you're going to replace your thermal paste. I'm not saying tear down the card and put one on right away. I'm saying as a replacement strategy in the future. Where do they make the most sense? They make the most sense in GPUs that have passively cooled VRM modules. Why is that? Well, the memory modules have thermal pads on them, or in some cases thermal putty. those are going to break down as well anyways around the same timing that your thermal paste will break down. So you'll already be taking apart the card. You might as well just put the cheaper thermal paste in there and call it a day. So the real special cases are things like 1660 Supers that have passively cooled memory modules and only thermal paste. Why is that? You take the card apart once, maybe after mining on it for a year, you throw the graphite pad on there, you throw the cooler back on there, you throw it on the rig, and you never touch that 1660 Super again, unless of course the fans die. But pretty much never touch it again. That's why. That's the use case for it in my particular situation. Andre says, ask Tech, which is different between NVIDIA GPUs make for assemblers companies in the Founder Edition? Oh man, bro, what happened to that sentence? All right. What is the difference between GPUs? You mean like third-party GPUs and Founders Edition? Founders Edition are obviously going to be binned better because NVIDIA is manufacturing them specifically for themselves, right? So that's why people are hot on the Founders Edition. They usually are also going to be sticking closer to the original MSRP, because they aren't adding on additional cooling, improving the coolers, doing whatever. What the third-party manufacturers get is they get a PCB design, they go ahead and design it, and then they design their coolers and everything that goes on to it from there. They handle the manufacturing process, and then they ship it out as a third party. Alexander says, outside Tech, could Ethereum scale if it would have stayed at proof of work? There are options to scale proof of work. In fact, really the new plan, the way they're deciding to scale Ethereum now, or the execution layer specifically, could have been implemented on proof of work from what I could tell. Emmanuel says, ask Tech, when it comes to politicians, which one are you supporting that actually seem to follow the tenets of Bitcoin? The only one that I can mention off the top of my head, and I don't support everything that he says, but as far as just purely Bitcoin and who I think gets it, was Ted Cruz most recently. And that's just because I'm from Texas, so I see when he's talking about it. And he seems to get the principles and the fundamentals and understands Bitcoin. That doesn't mean I agree with everything that Ted Cruz says. It just means that specifically in relation to Bitcoin, he seems to grasp the concept. Ben's 310, thanks for the $4.99 super chat, says normal lifespan of good thermal paste mining 24/7. Yeah, like I said, the Arctic MX4 seems to last the longest. The ones you want to stay away from are the high heat transfer thermal paste, like the G-Lid GC Extreme or the Thermal Grizzly. Those break down a lot quicker than the just the traditional thermal MX4. Jeff, thanks for the $10 super chat, says, thanks for your knowledge. Thanks for watching and supporting the channel. All right, let's scroll back up. LZ says, Tech, would you consider it already too late to sell GPU on the secondhand market? Not that I want to, but the heat also becomes a problem during the summer. Well, you need to figure out your heat issue first, right? That being said, is it too late to sell your GPUs on the used market? No, not necessarily. I think next month it might be too late, right? Because that's when we're going to be all the way back down to MSRP. I think that some of the GPUs are too late to sell. Polaris GPUs, for example, RX 580s, 570s, 480s, and 470s. And obviously things like the GTX 1063 gigabyte are too late to sell. That's why my 1063 gigs are just, spec mining. Anything and everything says, ask Tech, when overclocking, is it possible that some slower memory settings become more efficient at solving versus a higher hash rate, i.e. more solves at slower memory? If you're pushing the memory to the point to where it is, basically unreliable, then yes, that would be the case. But if it's just an overclock that is a reliable overclock, then no, right? I mean, that's all going to be within spec or whatever. Mike the Miner says 2060 Super 44 mega hash a second. He didn't provide overclocks. We talked about that earlier. Green Illness, outside of Tech, do you have more 10 series, 20 series, or 30 series cards? The most cards I have are the 5700 XTs. On the NVIDIA side, the most cards I have are the 30 series. specifically 3070s. Daniel McKenzie says, at Son of a Tech, I'm having difficulties determining which card is underperforming at the pool, but all are reporting good hash rates. Is there an easy way to find out and why? My overclocks are all low. Not really. Not that I'm aware of. You could break the cards off individually and run one on a, start comparing and contrasting and seeing how many shares are submitted from that card. That would be the only way that I could think of. Sean McEwen, sorry, I just botched that. At Son of a Tech, first time watching live, been watching over a year. What coins are you mining right now? What one, in your opinion, seems to be the most hardy, or will still be around in 5 years? Sure. So, I mean, like, I bounce around a little bit, but I'm still just primarily on Ethereum. So Ethereum, right now, we're on Ethereum, Varus, Dogecoin, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Pirate Chain, and Handshake and Library. As far as for GPU mining in particular, we have been on Flux. It was unreliable, unfortunately. We have been on Ergo. Once again, unreliable, unfortunately. We've been on Ethereum Classic, really reliable. As far as that's the one I'd probably prefer to mine from an infrastructure standpoint post-merge, and I think it will be around in 5 years. I don't think Ethereum Classic's going anywhere. It hasn't yet, and it's on major exchanges, including things like Coinbase and Crypto.com. Dan Sand says, at Son of a Tech, some people have their 20 series cards on Flux, but What to Mine says ETH is more profitable. Does What to Mine accurate? What to Mine can't give you minute-to-minute profitability, and it can't determine what is more profitable on Flux, specifically because of the issue that we talked about earlier, where people are renting massive amounts of hash rate on Flux or on NiceHash to mine Flux, which means that your predictability on Flux is all over the place. Most people that have switched over like 20 series cards, like I've done that, and light hash rate cards, which we did do for a while, the reasoning or the thought process is that they're the most efficient on that algorithm, or the most efficient cards for that algorithm, and you're not dealing with, like on the light hash rate cards, any sort of light hash rate locks, just making it easier to throw those over there. Rad CPU Man says, at Son of a Tech, don't remember if you talked about your Bitcoin miner RMA. Any updates? I was told that we're supposed to get it shipped out this week, but it was more than the power supply, and I asked if we would be getting more information on that, and I have not had a specific reply to that email yet. So I don't know what broke on it, but hopefully they tell me. David Shiro says, at Son of a Tech, is this a good time to start mining Monero, or what would be a good long-term CPU mining coin? If you just want most profitability and kind of click it and forget it, I believe Monero Ocean is the easiest way to go. I am mining Varuscoin personally, but that can be up to you, right? Profitability, though, probably just set it to Monero Ocean. Anything and Everything says, at Son of a Tech, can you dual mine Flux for profit? You can't really dual mine Flux, no. Flux utilizes every single part of the card, right? It's utilizing the core and the memory, and it's pushing your cards very, very high. Detroit Iris says, link to preferred graphite pads, interested to try on an A4000. Let me see here. I'll try to pick up the one that I bought last. I believe so. These are the ones I've been using just because their price is good, but you need to check the size of your die, so be very careful here when purchasing it. I believe the one I linked is 30 by 30 millimeters, and you may need 40 by 40. Beast says, at Scientific, what is a good price per mega hash to look for as prices come down? I don't really have an answer on that right now. You know, I'm not really going to spend over $10 a mega hash at this time. Stick Shark says, at Scientific, got a notification from my ISP saying there's an outage in my area. Checked and all your rigs are offline. Womp, womp. I'm sorry, man. That's a rough day. Dan Sand says, at Scientific, are you going to try copper plates from Cool My GPUs? Seems promising. I have some. My worries about copper plates is you're putting additional pressure on the PCB, which can cause issues. Plus, there's shorting problems that you could also run into as well. Michael Grayson says, at Scientific, is the install for the graphite pads versus thermal paste pads any more difficult? Yes and no. So, the only difficult part about it, at least from my perspective, is like the pads are going to move around. So getting the cooler back on and screwed in while making sure that the graphite pad is aligned on the die and aligned with that. Also, you're going to have to cut to size in most cases. So the cutting to the size and then actually getting the cooler on without having the pad shifted in some manner can make it a little bit more difficult. Ty Hoon says, at Scientific, ETC fifthing next week. Yes, we talked about that already. Now, you say that the Ethereum Classic Dev says that the network will be able to absorb the hash rate after 2.0. And it's not ETH 2.0. Let's stop calling it that. It's the merge. But is this true? And ETC will pump after ETH or dump. Ethereum Classic will have to pump because the miners aren't going to be selling their newly minted Ethereum Classic at a massive loss. So it has to pump. Dan Sand says, at Scientific, what are you spec mining with your low-end GPUs? Caspa. Damien says, and here's another question. At Scientific, mining Caspa, any overclock tips on the 3080? No, I'm just utilizing 1063 gigs on Caspa. Rad CPU Man says, at Scientific, I put my single 1063 gigabyte mining Ergo to nice hash on Windows. Pays 67 cents a day. Not bad profitability. I'm using mine to spec mine Caspa right now, though. Gandalf Gray says, at Scientific, thinking about buying several FutureBit Bitcoin desktop ASICs. Would you buy these or an S9? Power is 12 cents a kilowatt hour. I'm not familiar with the FutureBits. I know a lot of people are buying S9s, but mostly people are buying those to put in storage containers near flare gas operations. So very, very cheap power consumption. Shooter McGavin, nice name, says, at Son of a Tech, got a gigabyte 1660 Super and it refuses to work in Hive OS and only works in Windows. Tried everything I can think of. Are you aware of a known issue with the Linux kernel and the Super? Yeah, you need to be on driver version 470. So if you're on driver version, NVIDIA driver version newer than that, you need to go into Hive OS and run the NVIDIA driver update, NVIDIA-driver-update space, and then you're going to say -replace, and then you're going to type in the 470 number. Mark Sevlin says, good morning, Son of a Tech. Good morning, Mark. Andre says, ask Son of a Tech, what do you think is the best software to mine or to mining for mining? Help me with your sentences, guys. What do you think is the best mining software for GPU, for light hash rate GPUs between T-Rex and LOL Miner? T-Rex is getting the higher numbers at this time. It's not running really reliably for me, though, so the LOL Miner is still running more reliable. Detroit Iris says, at Son of a Tech, want to out it in the metal plate that the cooler sits on. Thermal paste seems to have helped, but hoping this will work better on the A4000. Okay. Ben's 310 says, Ask Scientific, will you be trying to cool my... We already talked about that. Amigos PC says, Ask Scientific, shouldn't we be moving away from mega hash per dollar since it's primarily based on Ethereum's mega hash? Since ETH is a good proof of stake, should we, going proof of stake, should we be pricing or grabbing and have better transfer props? I mean, okay. So first of all, I've never done mega hash per dollar because, and I started kind of doing it just because that's what the community has been doing for a while. I've always tried to look at like what is going to be the best investment overall, right? Like, so the reason I look at 1660 supers, why? Cool, passively cooled memory modules, easy to run, most reliable, good to go. Can I find a really good price 1660 super? Cool, I'll grab it. Can I not? Okay, I'll grab something else. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like the thought process. If I see a 1660 super for $350 or a RTX 3060 for, the same price, I'm probably going to get a 3060 because it's going to have more longevity down the line or whatever. It's kind of always like, it's weird to like put that into context then, but I will say this in defense of mega hash per dollar, Ethereum Classic is still mega hash per dollar. And I do think that Ethereum Classic is going to soak up a lot of the hash rate and then therefore drive the price up as well. Detroit Iris says, Ask Tech, want to try the graphite on the A4000 metal plate and the cooler sits on the die. Paste has helped a bit, but oh yeah, we already read that one. Sorry. The Rookie Cookie says, Ask Tech, have you tried to mine Monero, and if so, what CPU or GPU? A long time ago. I haven't been mining it recently, but we always test it. So you can look at my old CPU playlist if you are looking for a specific CPU. Anything and everything says, Ask Tech, graphite on VRAM as well. Possibly good idea combo with copper plates. No, I don't think that's going to work necessarily. Now with the copper plates, maybe, but the copper plates are probably going to fall off anyways. Usually you're using a little bit of thermal putty with those copper plates from what my understanding, right? To keep them on. But no, you wouldn't put graphite on VRAM. You're not going to get the thickness correct and fully seal. Anything and everything says, Ask Tech, what about thermal paste to hold the graphite on? Then you're kind of messing up your graphite. If you have a thin sheet of graphite paper, you'll kind of understand that a little bit better. Patrick is saying for light hash rate unlock stable, don't lock core, just offset it. I'm just trying to run it at stock, bro. I haven't overclocked it at all. In regard to T-Rex miner. Thanks everybody for watching today. Be sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe down below. It helps the channel out significantly. We're a little down on viewers today compared to yesterday. Apparently you guys like me clickbaiting you because more of you come and watch. What's that about, huh? Just name every single live stream Ethereum merge. When? Question mark. Hope we got a lot of topics covered today. I'm really excited for a lot of the GPU stuff that's coming out. So hopefully you'll be seeing that. Tomorrow we have the release of the 5800X3D. Trying to get one for the test bench and get that tested out. I don't know if I'm going to drive up to Houston or not yet. I am debating it. But I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Ooh. All right, as we break 300 concurrent viewers. Thanks, guys.